Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Quick Expert Reviews. I know I've been absent for quite a while due to some personal reasons, but I'm getting back on track now. So, without further ado, let's start with this review of the Ford Focus 2018, which I've been driving for the past 2 years. Yeah, got it in May 2021 as a company car. I've done about 10,000 miles with the car, so I think I can tell you more or less what I think about it and so on. So starting with the design, the car has been, the third generation, has been on the market between 2010 and 2013. That front grille reminds a lot of people of Aston Martin cars, which isn't a coincidence as such, because Ford actually owns 8% of Aston Martin. Going to the side of the car, you can obviously see the indicators in the mirrors, and you know what, I think this car looks really nice, really sharp. I do really like the lines. I know it's a blunt Focus, but I do really like the look of the car. What I don't like are the door seals hanging around. When I picked it up, it had 26,000 miles, 27,000 miles, and then the first bit, the bit to the right split, and then the one to the left. I'm not, it's not a major concern, but I've seen a lot of Ford Focuses with this issue, so yeah, unfortunately, yeah, not great for a 5-year-old car, but it could have been worse, could have been engine. Right, so a couple of things. So you've got a child lock over here. So basically all you do is you take the key and you twist it to the right, and that's where you've got the child lock, so you can't, your kids obviously can't leave, so you don't have to look for a screwdriver or anything like that. Thank you. Another thing which is quite weird is that you actually have manually operated rear windows. They don't open fully, however you've got like 80% of the window open, and unfortunately, like I said, back to the basics with this one, which is quite shocking for a car from 2018, to be honest, but hey ho. It does make sense if you're sleeping in the car, so you don't have to turn the car on to open the windows, but yeah. Okay, and I'm not going to sit behind myself. Okay, so quite a comfortable position, I have to admit, especially considering that I'm 1 meter 85 centimeters tall, which I believe is 5.9 or 6'4" tall for you Brits. In terms of your obviously measurements, like I said, it is actually quite comfortable, and for me, I've got quite a lot of headspace, as you can see in here, so yeah, can't really complain. Now going into the middle bit, yeah, the middle bit, not 100% greatly comfortable. However, again, if you put an adult next to me, I think they could fit for like a shorter journey. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the rear. You do have coat hangers, however you don't have a handle or anything like that, and you do have just one light over here, so that's pretty much it. So in terms of boot space, so that's the boot itself. So here you've got hooks, 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got lights, you've got a 12-volt socket. Over here you've got this funnel end that you can use if you need to refuel. It actually shows, yeah, that you can put your petrol using that fuel. You've got an icon over here on how to use it, but it's not, I mean, yeah, you don't need an engineer degree to use that. Okay, so that's that. Then underneath, on the gate number 2, we've got a space saver wheel that we can do up to 50 miles an hour on. And then over here we've got fuse box. So that's that. Then when it comes to this bit, all you do is you grab it, you hold it and you pull it, and then when you want to close it, you just press and it slides just like that. So that's that. And then when it comes to folding the seats, so over here you've got a button that you have to press. So you press the button, you fold the on the other side, you do exactly the same. So you press the button over here, you fold it, and that's it. Your seats are done, and you get a bit more space in the back. So when it comes to interior, this is where we are at. So we've got this multifunction display over here. If you want to, you can keep changing what it displays using these buttons over here. I usually keep it on this bit, which tells me about my daily limit, tells me about the miles per gallon, tells me about gallons per hour, and tells me about my range of the car. So this is what we use to control the multifunction display. Then slightly underneath to the right side, we've got the voice control, next track, previous track, skip track, volume up, volume down. We also have the answer or decline the call. Then next to it we've got cruise control, so we've got set cruise control speed, and then you can obviously up it or slow down. To set the cruise control on, we just press this button here, and then we've got this set MPH over there. And then we've got resume, it's not reset, it's resume, and then we've got cancel. So for example, if you're doing 30 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour, you're doing 40 miles an hour, but you need to slow down. You don't have to press the accelerator, you just press to go back to 40 miles an hour, you just press resume and the car will accelerate back to 40 miles an hour. And then we've got the, obviously the indicators and the wiper blades. Now here's the funny thing. So you would have thought that the obviously quality control that Ford is known for would have done something about it, but as you can see, one raindrop means that they won't turn on as often, the wiper blades won't turn as on as often as you'd like to. So obviously you want to increase that to 3 if there is a heavy rain. Funnily enough though, you can actually go over the limit with an extra 2, which you probably didn't know. I found out by accident. I had it like that, and then turns out if you go like that, they actually work faster and more often. So hey ho, you would have thought that it will just stop in here, but yeah, you can actually go in overdrive mode with the wipers. Then when it comes to the lights, the interesting thing is, so that's how you turn them off, that's how you turn them on. However, if you leave them on and you take the key out and you lock the car, the lights will go off. So it won't discharge your battery or anything like that. So if you keep forgetting about turning the lights on, all you have to do is just leave them on permanently. And like I said, when you leave the car, when you lock the doors, they will shut off anyway. I've been doing that for the past 2 years and it hasn't affected battery life or anything like that. So yeah, it won't discharge your car, don't worry. And then you've got 2 out of 4 windows you've got in the car. 2 electric window openers, well, the buttons. Obviously you've got the electric windows as well. You can lock the car. And then we're moving on to the sat nav. You do get Android Auto and you also do get the Apple CarPlay. However, it only works using this USB port. So first of all, you have to have a USB cable, well, or lightning cable in case you've got an iPhone. But yeah, that's the only way for it to work. There are actually 2 USB ports. The second one is actually hidden in here. However, sadly enough, this USB port just doesn't support Android Auto. What it means that unfortunately you cannot tuck your phone in here and obviously leave it out of your view. You have to connect the cable and leave the phone over there for the Android Auto to work, which is a bit shambles, to be honest, because I'd prefer to just tuck my phone away in here just connect it to Android Auto over here, and then obviously operate everything using this touch screen or using voice control, because when you press that button you do get Google Assistant or Siri depending on which phone you've connected. And then we've got the aircon unit. So the interesting thing is that when it's turned on, and then when you go maximum aircon, it shuts down the airflow from the outside and it starts blowing in your face. And the same applies to going maximum on window, so on maximum temperature. So if you go like that, it helps defrost the front windshield. However, you also have the Ford patented front windshield defroster, which heats up the front window and then helps out with the snow. It's, yeah, to be honest, one of my favorite features, and I wish my Lexus had that because it's really, really useful. But hey ho. And then we've got the glove compartments over here. Not the biggest one, unfortunately, as you can see, quite limited. And then that is pretty much it. The passenger do luckily have their own button to open the windows. Sadly, nothing like that for the rear passengers. However, obviously they can do some manual labor in the back. And then that's pretty much it. You've got the airbag over here, you've got another airbag over here, and then you've got side curtain airbags. So as you can see in here, so overall you've got 6 airbags. And yeah, the car has actually scored 5 stars in Euro NCRP test, so it's actually quite safe to drive. Right, so let's take it for a spin, shall we? Okay. So when it comes to the car itself, like I said, and as you know from my reviews, I like to drop a couple of interesting facts, or as I tend to call them, fun facts. So third generation Focus was made using one Ford design idea platform. Well, platform-wise, it's a mix of a Focus and a Fiesta, really, second generation. However, the idea was that it's going to be exactly the same car across the world. So not only in Europe, not only in US, not only in China. It's going to be the same Ford Focus, just with a slightly different trims according to the markets. The interesting fact is that a guy called Alan Muley, who was the CEO of Ford in 2010, actually a brand new CEO, just took over in Ford. He was actually driving a Lexus. So how interesting is it that the CEO of second, back then, biggest car manufacturer in the world, Ford, was actually driving a Lexus, and not any weird Lexus or anything like that, not a brand new Lexus either. Because do remember it was 2010 and he was driving a 2004 Lexus LS430, the one I've also reviewed on my channel. At the minute it's only reviewed in Polish, but I will do an English voiceover for it, as some of you suggested. But yeah, here's your Lexus info on a Ford Focus review. But anyway, so the car won 2012 award for the most popular car when it comes to sales. So it was the best-selling car in 2012. And then this facelift model, which was facelifted in 2014, as I mentioned at the beginning, with a new front face and a slightly redesigned interior. Didn't win any prizes, but obviously it built on the Ford Focus legacy. And what that legacy means? That legacy means that it's absolutely brilliant to drive. I mean, it's not an RS, it's not an ST, however, it's fantastic to drive. The way the car just handles, and you know, it is just a 1.5 diesel, but the way the car handles It's absolutely unreal. Yes, I know it's a front wheel drive car, but it's actually a joy to drive when it comes to taking corners and so on. Not as such when it comes to overtaking, especially on a motorway, because that 1.5 I believe is 120 brake horsepower. While it's brilliant on economy because it does about 60 miles to the gallon, that's mixed driving. Unfortunately, when it comes to sheer joy and pleasure of driving and things like that, especially when it comes to acceleration, it's not the greatest. But hey ho, it's been a company car, so it's been doing its job quite well, apart from obviously falling apart, door seals falling apart, and yeah, and just obviously the door handles, well, the window, the manual labor you have to obviously take to open the windows in the back. The interesting thing as well about the car itself is, if you're at senior age and you're watching this review, thank you. And second of all, the interesting thing is that a group of designers, architects, when they were designing this car, they were actually wearing a suit called third age design suit. So basically what it does is it restricts your movement. So if you're of senior age, you know, you're not as capable as someone younger. So the car interior has been designed with that in mind, which in my opinion sounds brilliant, because like I said, there are some restrictions when you're getting older and older, and it's nice that they've tried that. It actually reminds me of when Lexus was designing the LS400 and the engineers were wearing fake nails just to see how comfortable it will be for women to operate the electric windows buttons while having different size of nails. I think there was 7 different sizes of nails, but hey oh, that's another Lexus fact. Interesting fun fact about in Ford Focus review. So yeah, I'll probably stop that now. Yeah, so when it comes to the design, like I did mention, they actually thought about a lot of things. And like I said, when it comes to driving, for me, I found longer motorway journeys because I worked as a regional manager, so I had to do a couple of long distance journeys from Manchester to Birmingham, from Manchester to Newcastle, from Manchester to Bolton, from Stockport to Walsall, and so on. So about 2.5 hour journeys, and while not particularly uncomfortable, the car is alright, but just alright. So it's brilliant for short trips, but unfortunately for me, like I said, it wasn't the greatest on longer distances. It's not a Mondeo, and that's pretty much that's probably it. But hey, overall, I would rate the car comfort 6 out of 10. Really, it's not my height. It's just the seats were not perfectly comfortable for me on the longer distances. You do get the lumbar support, so you just press that, and obviously it pushes towards your lumbar. But unfortunately, it wasn't. Well, it didn't make a particular difference really to the driving comfort. But overall, like I did say, it's not a bad car per se. I had it for 2 years. I've done about 10 or 12,000 miles in it. So, and you know, I'm still walking straight, I hope. And you know, it's all right. It's all right. I guess it's exactly the same comfort as Toyota Corolla probably, or something like that. But so in terms of the actual car itself and some of its reliability issues, we have to discuss 2 things. First thing being the issue with the gearbox. I think, or maybe it's because it's the US, but probably it only affected the cars built in the United States. So the ones in Europe were built in Germany. The ones for the American market were built in America. I don't know if that's what the issue is, but when you had the automatic gearbox, DSP6 power shift in those cars, unfortunately, those gearboxes failed, and they failed miserably. And when I say failed, they've done, and bear in mind it's just one model, okay, so it's just one model, it's literally just the third generation Focus that suffered from it. They've done 6 revisions of the gearbox and clutch. So how bad it has to be that you have to do 6 revisions, 6, yes, SIX revisions of the gearbox to actually make it right. Not only that, the engines were also prone to fire. So I know that they fixed the gearboxes after 6 revisions. Did I tell you how many revisions there were? 6. Not only they've had to fix that, but they also were catching on fire. So apparently in the US and Canada there were 29 incidents of the car's engine setting on fire. That doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, does it? So yeah, I mean, I thought that I'm gonna get it out of the way. I haven't heard, I've done some research, but I haven't heard about such incidents in UK or Europe to cover a wider area. But unfortunately, I did have to mention it just in case. It does look like there was a connection between that automatic gearbox and the engine that was actually suffering from that failure was 1.6, which they've actually replaced in 2015. So the 1.6 diesel was replaced by 1.5 diesel in 2015 for the third generation Focus, meaning that you had a slightly smaller engine with exactly the same power and a slightly better economy. So yep, win-win, I guess. Hopefully it helps with the insurance and the road tax as well. I mean, not that there's probably a huge difference between 1.5 and 1.6 when it comes to insurance or road tax, but hey ho, every little helps. Right then, so that is my hopefully quick and hopefully short and probably lasting about half an hour as usual quick review of the Ford Focus 2018, which unfortunately I will be bidding farewell because I've recently changed jobs. So I'll be bidding farewell to the Focus. Overall, it's a decent car. It's a decent car. It hasn't caused me any issues whatsoever apart from that door seal. It's been working fine. Like I did mention, the comfort might be a better suited car for my daughter. But then again, I'll probably buy her a Fiesta or something like that. Yaris, Igo. It's a decent car. The boot is quite huge when it comes to the size. It fits 5 adults pretty well for as long as you're not driving longer distances than 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And yeah, overall can't fault it. It doesn't set on fire. The engine didn't set on fire. The gearbox didn't fail, but it's a manual gearbox. It's a manual 6-speed gearbox actually. That's actually one important bit to remember. 60 miles to the gallon, not bad, not great. It's not a hybrid. It does a pretty decent job. But like I said, there is a bit of a lack of power when it comes to overtaking on the motorway. And I'm not I'm not talking about overtaking doing 70 and going up to 100 or anything like that. I would never do that. Obviously the speed restriction is 70 miles an hour, but yeah, when it comes to overtaking, doing, I don't know, 50 on a 60 limit, it does struggle a bit, even when empty. So yeah, thanks for watching another episode of Quick Expert Reviews, and I'll speak to you soon, guys. Bye!